Hello.
Hello?
What's up?
What are you doing?
Trying to film for YouTube. What's going on?
Oh, we're at home. We want to come see the movie.
Okay, come on.
Alright.
Alright, bye. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see, we have a different setup today because we are, you got it, celebrating Halloween. Not really celebrating, but we're participating in the Halloween festivities like everyone else on YouTube because that's what good YouTubers do. Anyways, so for this video, we are going to talk about the horrible stories behind your favorite Disney movies. Now, I'm pretty sure y'all seen this on BuzzFeed, whatever. I've actually learned about the horrible backstories of some of my favorite movies back in 2013 when I heard of the Brothers Grimm and a few other authors who basically intended for the story to be a horror story to scare children into submission. So, without further ado, I'm going to ruin all of your favorite Disney movies. Let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to start off with Cinderella. Cinderella is one of my favorite Disney movies. The original 1952 cartoon version is my favorite. Anytime that I have anxiety, it gives me nostalgia. I straight up like love that movie. It calms me down. I love that movie. It's just one of my first Disney movies that I've ever seen other than Snow White. I don't know if that tells you my age, but yeah, Cinderella. So the original story of Cinderella basically is Cinderella has a dad and a mom. Her mom dies. Dad marries lady with two stepdaughters. Dad ends up dying. Lady makes Cinderella work as a maid in her own house. They have a special ball. The sisters fuck up her dress. Can't go to the ball. She goes running to the woods. Fairy godmother comes, gives her this amazing dress, carriage. All of her little animal friends turns into, you know, the carriage and the carriage driver and horses and stuff. Then they go to the ball. Prince sees Cinderella, instantly falls in love. Clock strikes midnight, as Fairy Godmother told her earlier. When it hits midnight, you gotta go home. Cinderella takes off running. She leaves a shoe behind. Prince cannot remember what Cinderella looks like, so he tries on the shoe of every maiden in the land. Cinderella's shoe fit. The end. They get married. That's it. That's how the Disney version goes. But the real version is kind of the same. It's not too different. But with the Brothers Grimm version, basically, the sisters were torturing her just like in the regular movie. But when it came to the prince trying on the shoe on the two ragged sisters, one sister cut off her toe to make the shoe fit. The other sister cut off her heel to make the shoe fit. So the shoe fits, there's a bloody foot in the damn shoe. Shoe fits, but then Prince notices that there's a toe missing on one of the sisters, and he's like, oh God, no, this is not right. Eventually finds Cinderella. Sisters beg Cinderella for forgiveness. Sisters and stepmother beg Cinderella for forgiveness. They get invited to the wedding, and Cinderella allows birds to pick out the sisters' eyes. I don't know about you, but I like that version a little better because I never liked the stepsisters, and they probably definitely deserve to get their eyes picked the fuck out. I'm just saying. So we're going to go on and move on to our next Disney story. The next story is going to be Snow White. So basically, in the original movie, Snow White has an evil stepmother who asks a huntsman to take Snow White to the woods to kill her and cut out her heart and bring her the heart so she can be the fairest in the land. Huntsman doesn't have the heart to kill her. She ends up running into the woods and ends up finding this house with 7 doors. She lives with the 7 doors for a little bit. The witch finds out she's not dead, turns herself ugly, gives Snow White a poison apple. She eats the poison apple and falls into a sleep until the prince comes and gives her a kiss, and then she wakes up and they go live happily ever after. So the Brothers Grimm version is a little bit different. The queen actually asked the huntsman to cut out her liver and her lungs so she can eat them. Huntsman still didn't have the heart to do it, so she runs off into the woods with the doors, and then the apple thing is still true. But this time, when she falls asleep, the kiss doesn't wake her up, but the prince wants to take her away anyway, which is kind of odd. Like, what are you going to do with a sleeping broad? But whatever. Takes her away anyway. When he tries to get her up out of the coffin, this is not verbatim, but I'm just telling you how I remember it. Gets her up out of the coffin and dislodges the poison apple from her throat, and she wakes up. They get married. Evil stepmother queen is invited to the wedding and forced to wear hot iron shoes and dance until she dies on the dance floor. I think that's a righteous ending too. I like that. So next story, we're going to do Sleeping Beauty. Let me take a look at my notes. Okay, Sleeping Beauty is written by someone else. I will put it here because I cannot say that word. I don't know how to pronounce that person's name. I don't even want to kill it. So, Sleeping Beauty, the original story, if you've seen a couple of the Disney movies, basically there's a wicked witch mad about the baby, which is Sleeping Beauty. Aurora gets mad that she is born because I guess the witch was in love with the king. Puts a spell upon the baby saying that when she turns 18, she'll prick her finger on a spindle and fall into a forever sleep. They send the baby away to go live with 3 magical fairies. She comes back around 18. She ends up pricking the spindle. She falls asleep. Prince comes, wakes her up by kissing her. They live happily ever after and get married. So in the real version, what happens is Sleeping Beauty is already asleep in the real version. She's already asleep. There's really not mentioned, there's not like a witch or anything. Sleeping Beauty is like already asleep. King comes, or Prince comes, he was a king in the story. King comes and he does not kiss Sleeping Beauty, he rapes her. He rapes Sleeping Beauty and leaves. Sleeping Beauty falls pregnant. She wakes up from her sleep, basically giving birth to 2 twins. Prince ends up coming back. Sleeping Beauty falls in love with him. I don't know how you fall in love with your rapist, but that's just the story. Sleeping Beauty ends up falling in love with him. He gets married. Here's the thing. Prince is already married to somebody. He's a king. He has a queen already. Queen finds out that he got married to Sleeping Beauty. She tries to kill Sleeping Beauty's twins and feed them to the king, as well as try to murder Sleeping Beauty. She ends up failing at this task. I'm not quite sure. I didn't read the whole story for that one. I'm not quite sure what happens. I'm assuming she dies because it does end with Sleeping Beauty and her rapist being together, living happily ever after. So, bruh. Completely different story than what Disney told. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to go into Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. Andersen. It's spelled weird. Hans Christian Andersen. Okay, so basically, if y'all have seen Little Mermaid, y'all already know Little Mermaid is about this mermaid. She sees a prince on a boat. The boat, there's a storm. Boat crashes. Ariel saves the prince, and she obsesses over him or whatever. So she goes to the sea witch to give her legs. The sea witch is like, you have 3 days to get married to the prince, and then you marry the prince and you stay with him forever with your new legs or whatever. But in exchange for that, you have to give me your voice. If you can't get him to marry you, I will keep your voice forever, whatever. So long story short, she meets the prince. He hasn't figured out it's her. Sea witch tries to trick the prince into marrying her. He finds out she's a sea witch. Sea witch dies. Ariel ends up marrying the prince, and she lives happily ever after with her sea legs. Her dad ends up giving her or whatever. So in the real adaptation is not, I probably didn't say that right, whatever. In the real story is not too far-fetched, but the sea witch does take her voice in the real story. But the difference is she tells her if she cannot get the prince to marry her, she dies. Straight up. There's no keeping your voice. There's no nothing. She's straight up like, you're gonna die if you can't get this guy to marry you. So there was another woman that the prince ends up marrying. It's not the sea witch, but it's another woman who he thinks saved him or whatever. And so Ariel is heartbroken. And so the sea witch makes another deal with her, like, if you murder him, you can keep your life. Like, if you just go ahead and kill him for betraying you, like, you can keep your life. Ariel is distraught. If I'm calling her other princess's name, please forgive me. But Ariel is distraught and she cannot kill the prince. So she throws herself into the sea and turns into sea foam. Bruh. Yeah. she turns into sea foam, and then she dies because she turns into sea foam. She dies, and then she goes to like purgatory, and then
she has to do like all these good deeds in order to gain souls. But technically, back then they're saying that mermaids didn't have souls. So when she died, she technically didn't have souls. So she went to purgatory, and then if y'all know what purgatory is, read Dante's Inferno or Google it. It's not that hard. Then she has to go to purgatory. She has to do all these deeds in order to possibly earn a soul.
Bruh.
I don't know, guys. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm not gonna throw myself into the sea for nobody. If the witch want me to kill him in exchange for my life, well, I'm already there. Let's go ahead and do it, baby. That's just me.
Okay, so the last one is going to be Rapunzel. So basically, if you've seen Rapunzel, the movie, Rapunzel's mom is pregnant with her. She gets sick. They find the sunflower. The sunflower has magical powers, heals the mom. Rapunzel is born. Before they found the sunflower, Mother Gothel, or witch, was using the sunflower to keep herself youthful and young. And so when the flower went missing, all those powers were transferred into Rapunzel after her mom drank the sunflower potion or whatever. And witch steals Rapunzel and takes her to a tower for a long, long time. Rapunzel wants to get out on her 18th birthday. Mother Gothel's like, nah, you're not going nowhere. And Rapunzel sneaks out with this guy, Flynn Rider. That's not his real name, but that's the name that he chose in the movie. Long story, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Goes off with Flynn Rider. She finds out that she's the princess, fights the mom, ends up cutting her hair off, goes back to her parents. Happily ever after, her and Flynn Rider get married. So in the real adaptation, it's not a king and a queen. Basically, there is a couple who is pregnant, and the wife craves this plant that is in their neighbor's yard, which is Mother Gothel. So the husband goes and like steals this plant from Mother Gothel's yard. It's not a special plant or anything. I think they call it rampins. Whatever, I'm gonna put the word here. Was stealing that. So Mother Gothel catches him, and she basically says, I won't kill you if you give me your firstborn child. Let me double check my notes real quick. Okay. So, firstborn child, they give her the firstborn child. She locks Rapunzel away in a tower. The only way you can get into the tower is by her long ass hair, just like in the original movie. A prince finds the tower, gets Rapunzel. Prince and Rapunzel fall in love. Rapunzel gets pregnant with twins. Mother Gothel finds out. She cuts off Rapunzel's hair and banishes her to the desert. And she blinds the king's son. She blinds the prince. I don't know the details of how she did that, but she blinds the prince. And eventually, this actually has a happy ending. Eventually, he finds his way back to Rapunzel, blind and all. He heals himself magically. He gets healed. He can see. He finds Rapunzel in the desert, and they live happily ever after with their twins. Like Beauty and the Beast. So Beauty and the Beast, if you read it, Belle is like the most eligible bachelorette in the thing. Gaston wants to marry her. She don't want to marry Gaston. Father disappears and ends up at the Beast castle. Belle exchanges herself for her father so her father can go free because he's sick. Beast keeps her in the castle. They end up falling in love. Her father gets even sicker. Blah, blah, blah. Gaston dies, blah, blah, blah. They live happily ever after. So in the real story, it's kind of the same a little bit, but basically Beauty has two sisters. There's a lot of twins and sisters in these horror stories. I don't know why. Whatever. Basically, she goes to visit her two sisters. The sisters are very jealous of her and find out that she's living this lavish life with this beast guy, and she's living in a castle, and they don't like that. They are jealous of her. They're like, girl, So they are trying to get Belle. They are trying to get Belle in trouble with the beast because the beast is like, hey, you can go visit your sisters, but you got to be back in this amount of time, or you're gonna be in trouble. So the sisters are trying to keep her there, so the beast will freaking kill her.
Bruh.
Yeah, that's one that I didn't read, so I don't know how that one ends. But hey, whatever. I mean, she got two evil sisters. There's a lot of evil sisters and twins and all that in these horror stories. So yeah. So yeah, Disney, good job of turning these horror stories into some of our most cherished memories, cherished characters. Like Disney, you did a good job with ensuring that that we weren't scared to go to sleep at night. Yeah, so that is it. Y'all look forward for my next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be sure to put in the description box where you can find the actual real stories, who wrote them, and all that stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, stay spooky, okay?